How do you increase your confidence so that you can succeed in business or whatever it is that you're pushing yourself towards? So many of us have limiting beliefs or self-sabotaging behavior that are holding us back. And I used to be the exact same way. I had big goals from the time I was 15. I actually wanted to do what I was doing right now when I was 15 years old, which was a wild thing, or it seemed wild, and it seemed unrealistic. And therefore I didn't end up getting into it much later, because I convinced myself that it was not possible. And the thing is, even if your big goal may seem wild or too big or unrealistic, that's actually easier than if you tried anything else. Settling for less than your dream is the harder path. And this is what I've learned over and over again, time and time again. Every struggle that I seem to have in my life was literally my life telling me that I was out of alignment. Anytime I took the easier path rather than the path where I sacrificed, rather than the path where I went for what my heart truly desired, I always was punished with a lack of luck, tough circumstances, everything in my life just seeming to go wrong. And I'm sure some of you, you've been in this situation as well, where you try to pick the easier route, the safer route, but you're still struggling. You see, life is going to be hard either way, whether you're going for the big goal, the thing you really want, or whether you're going for the small goal, settling for something else. So this is what was going on with my client, Jay. Now, she had settled for a job when she had a life circumstance change. She had a successful business where she was located previously, but then she had to move, and instead of diving into her business, she settled for a job to make the transition, make the change a little bit easier, right? Fair enough, something that I see a lot of people get into. But what was happening now was she had imposter syndrome when she was trying to get started with her business again. And she'd changed from location, she'd moved into a bigger area, an area where she felt she had a lot more competition. And all of these limiting beliefs started to pop up. And what's crazy is I see this so commonly, is even when we know our limiting beliefs are false and not real and not all that useful, when we know the thoughts in our head are self-sabotaging ones, negative ones that we don't need to have, we still find ourselves having those thoughts over and over again. When I work with a smoker, a drug addict, a sugar addict, we all know that these behaviors are not serving us. You know the things you are doing repeatedly, the thought loops that you're keeping yourself trapped in aren't serving you, yet you still end up doing them. And so why is that? This is the first part of increasing your confidence so that you can excel in business. The first part is removing the negative loops which are keeping you trapped, keeping you stuck. Why do we have these loops in the first place? It's because our brain is a survival machine. The brain's number one priority at the expense of everything else, at the expense of happiness and satisfaction, is to keep us alive. And how does the brain try to keep us alive? It tries to keep us alive through what is familiar. Our comfort zone is safe. If we've experienced something before, then our body and brain knows that we can handle it. We can get through it again. So this is why you're in situations, you find yourself stuck with the same problems over and over and over again, because your brain is familiar and comfortable with these loops. It is literally satisfying its needs of safety by keeping you trapped in these problems. And the only way that you can get out of this Groundhog Day, where it's just repeating over and over and over again, is breaking these negative loops, which moves us into the second part of this process. And in this process, you need to redefine what survival looks like for you. Your brain has a base level which it never lets you drop beneath, and it also has a peak which it never lets you exceed. Your brain has this temperature dial, a condition that it'll allow itself to sway between, And if you start moving too negative, you'll self-correct. This is when you look down at your stomach and you go, oh shit, it's time for me to actually do something about this. But that same urgency, because urgency is an emotion, and that all emotion comes from the subconscious. So the subconscious only kicks that emotion on. It only kicks you into gear when you hit a negative self level. But also, if you exceed a positivity set level, then your subconscious will kick in emotions that start to self-sabotage you, pull the reins back in and hold you back. Does that make sense? If you're not programmed to do extremely well, then as you start approaching a certain level of success, your brain is going to kick in and tell you, whoa, 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 we're not ready for that. We're not built for that. So we have to redefine this set point. What is your brain conditioned to expect as normal, right? So with Jay's case, we were elevating her standard of what she could achieve, where she could go, because always when we have a smaller set point than what we're actually capable of, it demotivates us and holds us back from what we could be doing ideally. So instead of choosing or allowing our subconscious to hold us back and stop us from doing what we want to do, allowing distractions to come in and take us away from our purpose, well, we have to have our subconscious that is designed to push us to our best, push us to our truest potential, rather than what we think we have become conditioned to stay at. So it's actually an issue if your subconscious is holding you back, and it's going to be pulling you back in rather than pushing you forwards. Your brain can work automatically for you, or it can work automatically against you. And finally, like I said at the start, your brain is a survival machine. It wants safety, it wants comfort, it wants familiarity. The last part is giving your brain familiarity with success. In our hypnosis session with Jay, we took her through the feelings. We gave her the joy, we gave her the emotion, we gave her the pride of reaching levels beyond what she had ever even imagined, because it's not our realistic peak that inspires us. It's our highest peak. It's our true potential that inspires us. And so in order to get Jay into action, in order to get her doing what she had struggled so hard to do, she had been low motivation, she had been scared, she had been insecure and worried about taking the next steps in her business. It wasn't realistic to just say, what if you imagine getting 1 or 2 clients a week and you can start to transition out of your job? No, we took her to the point where she saw that future. We saw her business booming, bigger than it ever was, even when she was back home, to the point where she was so proud of herself and felt way more self-love, way more empowered. And that's what got her moving forwards automatically. When you feel how incredible it feels to be a total success, of course you're not going to hang around. If you're sat there on the couch, doom scrolling, feeling sorry for yourself, it is because success is still unfamiliar for you. You are not certain. Your brain is not conditioned to automatically chase that feeling. And so a lot of people come to me asking for more motivation or to stop procrastinating. And the main way to do this, the main method for that, is by getting your brain to go, oh my God, look at what I could truly be capable of. And once your brain knows, once you subconsciously imprint that future potential on your brain, then the brain is not hardwired to move forwards. The brain is hardwired to avoid loss. So once we've shown the brain this beautiful future, it gets you into gear, because sitting around suddenly becomes very expensive. It feels like a huge loss to your brain, because the brain now knows all that it is capable of. So you truly have to ask yourself, who would you be if you were truly free? Because it is the best version of you, the highest version of you, that is going to inspire you to take the action that you need to do. If you want to learn more about how to hypnotize your brain to work for you automatically instead of against you and self-sabotage trauma and limiting beliefs, then DM me the word dominate on Instagram or send me a message asking about what you would like to use hypnosis to transform in your life.